International tournament football, there is nothing quite like it. And I had a little epiphany just as I was drifting off to sleep last night. I suddenly realised, it dawned on me, that the best footballer, the best player currently plying his trade in the Premier League happens to be English. The very best player currently playing in La Liga happens to be English. And the best of the best, the creme de la creme of all of the footballers currently playing in the Bundesliga happens to be English. The best player in Spain, the best player in England, the best player in Germany, Europe's three powerhouse leagues. The best player in all of those leagues happens to be English. So we dream, and dream we do. As football fans, that is what life is all about, dreaming. Trying to envisage what could actually become a reality. And I am getting giddy at the prospect of this tournament kicking off because I truly believe that England can and probably should win this tournament. For us to do it, however, there are some brave decisions that Gareth Southgate needs to make in order to make this dream a reality. So in this video, what I'm going to do is identify the areas of concern, and then we're going to talk about the potential problems and the potential solutions. And at the end, I'm going to give you my 11, my starting 11 that Gareth Southgate must play if England are to have any success at Euro 2024. Now, for those of you who saw my last video where I made the case that Kobbie Mainoo should be starting for England, in that video, I deduced that there are 3 areas of potential concern for Gareth Southgate. There are 3 areas in this squad that need examination, they need diagnosis, and they need a cure. Those 3 areas. One of them was the goalkeeper. There's a conversation to be had about how good Pickford is. The other was a centre-half. Who plays alongside John Stones? And the third area of concern that needs diagnosis from Gareth Southgate is who plays in central midfield alongside Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. Now, in that video, I think I solved the midfield dilemma. We'll talk about that more later. But for now, I think what we should do is focus on the other 2 items on the agenda. First up, the goalkeeper. Now, this one might raise a few eyebrows because we all know that Jordan Pickford is Gareth Southgate's main man. And to be fair to Jordan Pickford, he's having a very good season in what has been a troubling campaign for Everton. Jordan Pickford is probably a shoo-in for this England team, but there have been times in the past where I've needed a little convincing that Jordan Pickford is actually the right man for England. And it's not his perceived cockiness or brashness that I have a problem with. I actually believe that you need an element of that in your game. I think you need a little bit of spite, a little bit of ego to be a top-class goalkeeper. My issue more is that there's a very thin line between cockiness, brashness, and arrogance. And I feel like Jordan Pickford occasionally crosses that line. Look, we all know that he's excellent on the ball. He's a class distributor with the ball at his feet, but on occasion, he does overplay it. He takes risks where he doesn't need to, and essentially, he plays his way into trouble, inviting danger. And that worries me. Also, the way that he performs at set pieces, he can often look a little bit flappy. I feel like he gets caught under the ball far too regularly. Also, the statistics will tell you that he doesn't cope too well with long-range shots from outside the box. An obvious way for us to glean that I'm not altogether convinced that Jordan Pickford is the right man is fairly recently, at various points over the past 2.5 years, I was making a case for Aaron Ramsdale to be the England goalkeeper. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous now, a totally ludicrous situation now. But remember, a year ago, 2 years ago, Aaron Ramsdale was playing brilliantly for Arsenal. He was lethal at the back, totally diligent, and he was starting many Arsenal attacks. He was definitely the best English goalkeeper around at the time. Now, look, I'm obviously not for 1 second suggesting that Aaron Ramsdale should be the England goalkeeper. And hindsight has taught us that my suggestion that he should have been is perhaps foolish and misplaced. The problem is, there isn't anybody better than Pickford around. It isn't about how good Pickford is. It's about how good the replacements are. And let's be frank, nobody really comes close. We have to discount Ramsdale. I'm not too interested in Sam Johnson or Dean Henderson. Nick Pope is out of contention with a shoulder injury, so that leaves us Jack Butland at Rangers. Listen, Jack Butland is having a storming season for Glasgow Rangers, and fair play to him. But I think we all have to agree that doing the business north of the border isn't an indicator that you are set to play for this England team. Which basically means, where are we? All roads lead back to Jordan Pickford. So despite the fact that he leaves me a little bit uneasy at times, despite the fact that he is definitely not even near world-class calibre, he is the only real answer for Gareth Southgate. To be fair to him, he has proved time and time again in an England shirt he can be relied upon. His shot-stopping skills, his excellent distribution, his record in penalty shootouts, I think it has to be Pickford who gets the nod. Guess we just have to get behind him and hope he doesn't get injured, because if he gets injured, we are in a crisis at the back. The next conundrum is who plays at centre-half alongside John Stones. First things first, what we have to do is dismiss any talk of John Stones playing in midfield. There is absolutely no way that John Stones can do the job in midfield. In fact, I phrase that terribly. It's not that he can't do the job. Of course he can. He's an elite level footballer who can do the business on all parts of the pitch. But the reason why we couldn't possibly allow him to play in midfield, you cannot deploy John Stones in midfield with Rice and Bellingham when you have other alternatives there, because he is our only genuinely world-class centre-half. Without John Stones at the back, it isn't about what you get in the middle. You're losing him at the back. What does your back line become if you remove John Stones from it? So, immediately, dismiss any talk of John Stones being the solution for Gareth Southgate in central midfield. So the question must be phrased like this: who plays alongside Stones at centre-half for England in Germany 2024? Now, we know that Gareth Southgate is a loyal manager, often a blindly loyal manager, often a tribally loyal manager. That isn't always a bad thing, but I think what he does lack is an element of pragmatism. Picking players because they're your favourites, it isn't fair, it isn't correct, it doesn't always do what's best for the team, and it removes any sense of a meritocracy. Playing players who aren't playing for their club, aren't playing well for their club, is a problem. So the obvious answer is Harry Maguire. No player has been picked more for England since Gareth Southgate became England manager than Harry Maguire, apart from Harry Kane. The two Harrys are the first and second name on the team sheet for Gareth Southgate basically every single game. But there is a myth regarding Harry Maguire in an England shirt, a misleading hoax regarding his performances in an England shirt. People often say, without any sort of context, he's never let England down. That is the phrase that people use. Harry Maguire has never let England down. That, I'm afraid, is simply not true. Have a look at his performance away at Italy in the group stage. Scoring an own goal against Scotland. Scoring at Wembley against Albania. And putting your fingers in your ears to cancel out the haters, Kim Kardashian. Yeah, I'm afraid that is letting England down. My point here is that this defence of Harry Maguire, that he's never let England down, is totally unsustainable. He does regularly let England down. It's just become an urbaner. It's become a myth. It's become a trope that you simply say he's never let England down and it's seen as being true. It's a myth. His moment is over. It's time for him to step aside. Football must be a meritocracy. International football, nothing is more obviously set up to be a meritocracy than this tournament. Have you had a good season? Have you played well? Have you been in the team? Have you featured? Have you been a leader? Have you delivered for your club? Answer those questions in the affirmative and you will probably be in with a chance of playing for England. For Harry Maguire, I think the vast majority of those questions is no. And there are other credible options, which means Harry Maguire should not be featuring for this England team. Some would say Lewis Dunk could be in with a shout. He's a very rare breed, Lewis Dunk. He's that body-on-the-line defender, but he also has the ball-playing quality that is needed to be a centre-back at a club like Brighton. But he's 32 years old and he has no tournament experience. I think it would just be too much of a risk to starting with Stones, and for that reason, he is not in my team. Jared Branthwaite at Everton has really impressed me this season, and at just 21 years old, the future is bright for him. But I feel like this tournament could have come one season early. He's not in my team either. Now look, through my Chelsea allegiance, I could obviously mention Fikayo Tomori or Levi Colwill. Or even Mark Gahey, come to that. Look, I'm so proud of the player that Tomori is turning into at AC Milan. And I think Levi Colwill, at 20 years old, has his future ahead of him. There's no doubt in my mind that by the time we come round to the next Euros or even the World Cup, Levi Colwill will be starting for England. But this season, I just don't think that we can choose him at the moment. I've mentioned in this video already the importance of meritocracy. Levi Colwill played a lot of this season at fullback and he didn't play there very well. That's not his fault. He's not a fullback. Blame that on Pochettino. But it just can't be Colwill centre-half. It actually leaves us with just one shout. And I think that the answer to who should partner John Stones at centre-half in Germany, I think it's Joe Gomez. Like, it sounds a bit ridiculous. I feel like people are really going to jump down my throat here, but it wasn't that long ago that Virgil van Dijk's partnership with Joe Gomez was being hailed as one of the best partnerships around. Do you remember the Van Dijk-Gomez bromance? He's ended up being a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for Jurgen Klopp, and there is value in that for Gareth Southgate in a tournament. But I think because of the time that he had out, he wasn't able to establish himself as that centre-half alongside Van Dijk for the foreseeable. But that doesn't mean that he can't do a job there for England. I mean, he's already proved that he can, and he has been playing so well for a Liverpool team that have been fighting on so many fronts. This Liverpool team could still go on to win the league and win European silverware. And if they do, Joe Gomez will be a huge part of that. Jurgen Klopp has referred to Joe Gomez as a lifesaver. If Jurgen Klopp is picking you and referring to you as a lifesaver, if you are a huge part of this unspeakably good Liverpool team, surely that puts you in contention for a slot in the England starting lineup. His versatility across a back line, it makes him unique. It makes him worth his weight in gold to Southgate at a tournament. That adaptability, it really could be exactly what England need. He's Liverpool's longest serving player and he's played more games for Liverpool this season than he has in any previous campaign. He's game ready, he's brimming with confidence. This is the answer. And he would allow John Stones to go on those mazy runs. You know when John Stones carries the ball, progresses it forward? If he does that, Joe Gomez is the perfect man to sit and make sure that we aren't caught on the break. His inclusion in this squad is his first call-up since 2020. In fact, the last time that he reported for England duty, he suffered a season-ending knee injury during a training session. He left that training camp in an ambulance. And this is the first time that he's been called up to the England team since. He's shown tremendous character to get back to the top of his game, and I love the fact that he says that he sees it as a privilege to play for England. That's the centre-half I want in my team. Joe Gomez is the answer. Joe Gomez has got everything that we need at centre-half. And he's getting my seal of approval to partner John Stones at Euro 2024. So we've identified the areas of concern and we've come up with solutions. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to reveal my starting 11 for England 2024. So I've highlighted the problems, I think we've come up with the solutions, and now what we are going to do is we are going to name the starting lineup that Gareth Southgate must play as England embark on Euro 2024. In goal, as discussed, it's Jordan Pickford. Right back, it's got to be Kyle Walker. Solid, reliable, hard, faster than a leopard. Even in his advancing years, he is still one of the best at making recovery tackles, and he is still quick. There seems to be a little bit of a misnomer going about that he is getting beaten a lot. It's simply not true. There is one attribute that this England team doesn't have a huge amount of, and it is pace. And Kyle Walker brings that in abundance. Kyle Walker must start for England at right back. Centre backs, John Stones, Joe Gomez, end of. Left back is another tricky position, primarily because of injuries. If fit, Luke Shaw starts. Comfortable on the ball, solid in a tackle, and the last Englishman to score in a major final since Jeff Hurst. However, time is running out for Luke Shaw to prove that he can find full fitness. So look, I think the answer should be Luke Shaw, but I just don't think he's fit, and he is running out of time to find full fitness. Therefore, the answer has to be Ben Chilwell. Chilwell struggled with injuries himself this season, but he is in the squad. Southgate seems to like him. He is good enough to play in this position, and he offers something a little bit different to Luke Shaw. Basically, if Shaw's unavailable, I think it has to be Ben Chilwell. Surely one of them will be fit. They're very interchangeable to me here. Surely one of them will be fit. I'm going to go Chilwell. Right, now we're going to get onto the midfield. The midfield is a three-man diamond in the shape of Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, and my surprise inclusion, Manchester United's Kobbie Mainoo. God, I like the sound of that midfield. Do you know what? We're going to talk about Kobbie Mainoo in a sec, but first, can we just allow ourselves a moment to talk about the breathtaking majesty that is Jude Bellingham on a football pitch? He's reinvented a position. Like, where do you start with that bloke? We already knew that Bellingham was a special player, an exciting, prodigious talent, a Bundesliga Player of the Year, a Copper Trophy winner, one of England's best players at the World Cup. But what Jude Bellingham has done at Real Madrid this season, it beggars belief. Surely, no player has made such an impact at such a big club at such a tender age. It's a weird stat that I'm trying to quantify there, but there cannot be a bigger impact from a younger man at a bigger club. So far, in his debut season in Spain, he's played 22 games in La Liga. He has scored 16 goals from midfield. In the Champions League, he's played 6, scored 4, and set up another 4 for good measure. He has scored 20 goals in his first 31 games for Real Madrid. From midfield. Is anyone hearing this? From midfield. He's doing it from midfield. He's not even a forward. Listen to those numbers. And he's doing it from midfield. He is the best player in the world right now. You can have Mbappe. It doesn't matter because we have Jude Bellingham. I cannot wait to see him express himself in Germany. I cannot wait to see him strut his stuff in the biggest stage. Now, I tell you what, if it wasn't for the brilliance of Jude Bellingham, we would have been waxing lyrical about Declan Rice because he has been exceptional. He is one of the best players in the Premier League, certainly in the top 2 or 3 players in the Premier League this season. He has revolutionised not only the team that he plays for, but the player that he is. He has become a bargain at £100 million. Like, what's Declan Rice not good at? Play a game with me. Rather than acknowledging what he's good at. You know, we know that he's got a good engine. We know that he's got a great eye for a goal. We know that he is a proven leader. We know that his range of passing is elite. We know that he dictates the tempo of virtually every single game that he plays in. But that's boring. That's easy. We can talk about what he's good at. To demonstrate his brilliance, what I'm going to do is play a game with you. What's he not good at? What is Declan Rice not good at? Find a flaw in Declan Rice's game. Literally doesn't exist. And that is how good this England side are. Now my wild card, my surprise element. I'm going for Kobbie Mainoo. I've done a full video on why I believe Kobbie Mainoo should be included, not only in the squad, but in the starting lineup. That video is up on this channel. If you want to see my detailed thoughts on Kobbie Mainoo, check that video out. But for this, it just has to be him. He's so calm on the ball, filled with composure that belies his years. Absolute quality. In fact, he's probably the most exciting prospect that we've had well, since a couple of years ago with Jude Bellingham. And that is high praise indeed. I think Mainoo is fantastic. I think he should start. And it's not only about him. It's about who the other contenders are. I mean, Jordan Henderson is in this squad. It just has to be Mainoo. I think Rio Ferdinand said it best. He gives me vibes of Clarence Seedorf. The way he can manoeuvre in tight situations and the way he manipulates the ball and uses his body at times. Elusive as well. Some people see the headlines and he just caresses it. If anybody is talking about Jordan Henderson, I have one word for you. That word is meritocracy. Absolutely not. And if you even dream of bringing up he who shall not be named on this channel ever with regard to an England start until he puts in some form at club level, you're barred. My front three is really simple. It's exactly what you would expect. It's exactly the correct suggestion. It's Harry Kane through the middle for obvious reasons. It's Bukayo Saka on the right. And it's Phil Foden on the left. Phil Foden playing slightly out of position. But it doesn't matter when you are the best player in the Premier League this season. There was a time when you could have argued that it could have been Jack Grealish. In fact, there was a time when you could argue that it could have been Marcus Rashford. In fact, maybe you could even make a case for Anthony Gordon because the one thing that England front line lacks is pace. Marcus Rashford offers it, but I don't think his form has been good enough this season. So it has to be Phil Foden in a slightly fluid role. I don't think Southgate will do this, but I implore him to do it. Phil Foden needs to start. Jack Grealish has dropped in the pecking order. Doku's arrival has put added pressure on him. Phil Foden has risen to the challenge. He's Manchester City's best and most important player. They cannot live without him, and he must, just must, start for England. Foden has scored 18 goals for City in his 42 games across all competitions so far this season. He stepped up to fill the void when Haaland was injured, and with his intelligent football brain, his silky skills and his immaculate control, he must now finally convince Southgate that he's worth a place in the starting lineup. England's success will actually depend on it. It's also obviously Bukayo Saka. Some would say that he had a bit of a dodgy part of the season, and that's true. But over the course of the season, he has been immense. 11 goals in 32 appearances for England. That is so impressive. It's so easy to forget how young he is. He's also the jewel in Arsenal's glittering crown. He's bagged 13 times in 27 games for Arsenal in the league this season and assisted with another 8. That's 21 goal contributions in 27 games. Saka is actually the complete package when it comes to modern day wingers. He has to start. And finally, it's Harry Kane, our captain, our all-time goal scorer. The man who's going to light up the German sky at Berlin's Olympic Stadium on the 14th of July, 2024. If Gareth Southgate heeds my advice and picks that team, I truly believe that England will win Euro 2024. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really, really keen to hear what you have to say. See you all in a bit. It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home.